Hold on, guys. Looks like I forgot to do something before we started. But hey people. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Highserk, and my model was loading up this morning. I don't know why I woke up this early in the morning, like just feeling like I wanted to stream, but I mean, we're here now. We're here now, so I hope everyone's doing good. Hey! Okay, there we go. Fully loaded, all set, good to go. Hot, crispy, dazzling. I guess we can go ahead and like maybe get started, yeah? I'd definitely be up for it. We're gonna be playing chapter 3 of Witch on the Holy Night. I'm hoping I can knock this out in maybe like a couple hours or so. I'm just doing this early because I don't think I'll have any other time during the day. Because I'll be a little bit busy, and well, let's go ahead and get ready, get gaming started, and we can lock in. I'm pretty excited for this. I can't wait to play. Hey Tina. Ooh. I didn't expect you to catch me. How you doing? How's work? I don't know if you're working right now or not. Well, let's go ahead and get the music for now. Wait. We're gonna be playing light novels this morning, so it's gonna be kind of slower paced than I normally am. Just a bit of yapping, a bunch of reading, stuff like that. That kind of morning. I kind of felt the urge after I saw you play that other game yesterday. Let me see if I can remember the title of it. It's let me see. I might be embarrassing you a little bit bringing this up too. We were playing like that one horror game. If I still have it saved. Homicipher? Something like that. I usually play light novel. No work today. That's nice. I'm happy for you. Then you got to take it easy. Wait, hold on. I'm still setting stuff up right now. No, I saw you and I was just like, oh, that's pretty based. Like, I saw the concept and I was like, yeah, I get it. I see you. I see what you're up to. But no, just more Witch of Holy Night. I'm wondering if it'll let us continue where we want to. No, it won't. Hold on. Search for a bookmark. This is not quite where we want to be. I had to make sure I do something. There's a way for me to do it. Hold on. Title. At least you can play League of Legends now. What makes this different from before? Why couldn't you play League of Legends? I've been tempted to play League of Legends myself, actually. Wait, start. That's not it. Title. Hold on, maybe a little... ちょっと下手くそ. Extra archive CG mode. I do want to look at some CG. That'd be cool later. I don't think there's any... I'm just gonna have to continue from where I was. But how do I do that? Wait. There should be an option to start directly in chapter 3 where I was before. Oh dear. Okay, search for a bookmark. So, I think this might be the start. Tea Time 3. This will take us back to the beginning of the night we were on. Archive. Oh, next episode? Is that how we do it? So if we click this, then it should take us to chapter 3. And that's where we were from last time. Okay, yeah. 3 nights. Alright, I can start reading. Confused moment. This is, as you probably already saw from the title, this is a light novel, Witch on the Holy Night. So, I mean, you're just gonna have to see where we are for now. It's gonna be a little bit tough. I'm also gonna hide chat for now. So give me... Okay, there we go. I'm gonna have you guys hidden for the time being so we can see everything on the screen. And let me make sure the dimensions of the actual chat or game fill up everything. So right there. Okay, perfect. That should be everything. It's just gonna be me reading, basically. Yeah. I'm gonna be hella boring and read books. This is a book reading stream. Well, it's a light novel, so it should be more interesting than a normal book reading stream. Okay, let's go. I'm tuned in. Let me tell you how the events of yesterday transpired. On moonless nights, you must never look back. Was it a lesson, or was it a warning? It was so very long ago. At the time, I could not have imagined what my very being would become. One night, it came without warning. I was filled with an anxiety so heightened that it made me want to burst into tears, so I fled my grandfather's workshop. Unlike the grandfather I knew, he smiled kindly and placed a hand upon my head. Yes, the Red Death follows your every step. Rather than consoling me, he sent me home with only those haunting words. That night, I was certain that I sensed a shadow lurking behind me. Something or someone was watching me from afar. Then little by little, year by year, it grew closer. Eventually, the presence that once felt like a spot on the horizon grew so close that I could feel its breath on the base of my neck. Of course, it was all in my mind. When I turned around, nobody was there. But that night marked the beginning. In hindsight, I later understood that this indescribable anxiety I felt was the dread of certain death. How much time has passed since that night? It lingered deep in the recesses of my mind, where childhood memories are kept. A faded, storybook-esque memory. On dark nights, I still hear the faint echo of my grandfather's words. But no matter how strong the wind may blow, or how entrancing the song of the girl next to me, I can never bury his ominous words completely. The girl beside me said. Alice's inflectionless voice spoke volumes on her role as the bystander. ちょっと待って. I think I need to change the volume just slightly. 15. Okay. Here we go. That night, there was only me and her. It was a night I can mark as the birth of who I am today. For what should have been quite the memorable night, it sure wasn't a promising start. Dense clouds blocked the starlight above like a black umbrella. Strong wind tore through the sky, carrying the heavy clouds with it. It got missed. The hands on the clock in the middle of the park pointed skyward, as if reaching for the moon. Unfortunately for them, tonight there was no moon to point at. The winter air grew fiercer as the night wore on. Inhaling felt as though it would freeze me from the inside. The air chilled me to the bone, threatening to pass up my spine directly to my brain. To prevent my mind from being paralyzed, and to prevent my fingertips from becoming stone, I sparked a fire using my internal rhythm and emotion. Well, nothing new here. This is, to give a bit of context, this is Witch of Holy Night. So it's one of Kinoko Nasu's works. No, it's chill. It's chill. I responded to Alice with a nod. And then for just a moment, I saw the ground. My feet quivered ever so faintly. I told myself that I was shaking from the cold, but I wasn't so sure. hold on. ちょっと待って。わ。If you're curious about other stuff we do, sometimes we do ZZZ, sometimes we do. I've been thinking about it for a long time doing League of Legends, but I'm not. Especially with Xena mentioning League of Legends, I've been having an itch. But streaming League of Legends for me sounds dangerous. I'm bad at it. But I do all sorts of stuff. It just depends on when we're playing that day. Yeah. Hold on, I have a few things open. Let's continue for now. Hold on. I'm actually, well, I'm on an NA server, so I'd have to do a few things. I think I might have to make a new account, but I'm not 200% yet. In reality, they may not have been numbed by the cold, but by fear. I breathe a sigh of relief. My humanity is still intact if my emotions are still present. Yeah, I have. I've played both of those too. Before I sink to a pool of my own sentimentality, the sensations of the bounded field flowed from Atlas into me. A transparent wall covered the entire park. An unrecognizable carpet rooted deep under the earth. Alice is Kunoji? Alice's name is so weird in this story. Kunoji? Konji. Alice Konji. Oh, わかりました. Alice Konji's chants on the Mother Goose fairy tale's permeated night. The sensations became one with my body. I felt goosebumps on my quivering right arm. Someone had trespassed. The goosebumps crept up my right arm like ants, and slowly but surely made inroads from my heart, holding back the desire to drive them out. I waited for them to reach a certain, definitive position. A moonless night. The park's quaint streetlights were not enough to lift the darkness. The ants came to a stop. Far from my right arm, they reached my very heart. Even without the aid of a sense of sight, I could sense the intruder lurking in the darkness. To starboard, in the bushes about 30 steps back, on all fours, it was beckoning with its right arm. The enemy's movement and my perception of it were in lockstep. I spun around. The enemy's arm stretched out like a spear. Its lethal weapon aimed for the back of my head and brushed my hair at a breakneck speed. The omniscient awareness granted by Alice's ward. Through that, I managed to avoid it by the skin of my teeth. My hair fanned through the air from the violence of the attack. The strike grazed my cheek. I felt a small, sharp pain. I felt like a kiss of death. I switched the flow of my body's blood to a different cycle. The blood running through my veins at a few feet per second transmuted into an imaginary element. My body became a single circuit. My heart transformed completely into a completely different engine. Within me stirred an unknown motion of immeasurable heat. Something mystic yet untapped by humankind that made me who I am. It was the fire of life behind miracles and fables. What we mages call the magical energy. I turned around, steadying my sights, and held up one hand. My arm was the agent of my will. My lack of experience meant my magecraft would only be possible with the use of vocalizations and gestures. Magical formulae were engraved all over the park. All I had to do was ignite them. I needed to direct the flow of magical energy within my body into each formula. Typically, a mage acted as a conduit. Whether wired or wireless, the mage would simply pour magical energy into a formula, releasing this energy in a form of a projectile, steam, or any number of other methods would usually suffice. But in my case, it was the feeling of my limbs whipping out. Okay, here we go. I fought speed with speed. The enemy's arm extended 10 feet forward and became engulfed in flames. It was nighttime at the park, the scene reminiscent of a campfire, but one in the center of the flame. But one in which the center of the flames contained a humanoid figure wiggling like a shadow puppet. The flames subsided just as unnaturally as they'd ignited. No crackling, no burning smell. After telling this to Alice, I headed towards the motionless figure. I kind of have a feeling, okay, I just wanted to get through that intro before I read chat. No, I haven't tried Hitman or anything like that. I've definitely done Phasmo and Peak. I've done games like those, stuff like that. But I still haven't found anyone to really play them with. It'd be sort of like how with League of Legends as well. I'd probably find a few people to play with and hang out with. I can play solo too. I'm kind of just like, let me see. I kind of just, this is a self-indulgent stream today. Just me doing nerd stuff and reading. You can the topic for now is just going to be like Witch on the Holy Night, if you want to chat about that. If you're curious about any details in regard to that. But, outside of that, I'm not really... Well, I can idle chat about a few things. But I'm not going to get too distracted tonight. Well, this morning. I guess for Xena, it's almost night. It's like afternoon, something like that. I don't have a schedule or anything like that either. No? Wait, I'm going to get back to reading. But I don't have a schedule either. After telling this Alice, I headed towards the motionless figure. I killed it. I killed it. I killed it. Regardless of who my opponent was, I just took someone's life. My throat parched. I swallowed the truth that without this sense of reality, I would have been helpless. So hard and bitter. Impossible to swallow, but I tried to anyway. I was unnervingly calm. My heart pounded and my breath felt heavy, but my mind was nonetheless calm. By the time I realized it, the charred remains were already in front of me. Bracing for a counterattack, I carefully examined the corpse. Everything seemed fine. This body lying slumped on the ground was nothing but ash. But something wasn't right. To begin with, its remains didn't smell organic. Not willing to believe my hunch, I took a closer look at the corpse's face. All that greeted me was a featureless white face of a mannequin. Screaming, I kicked the mannequin. The corpse crumbled to ash and disappeared with the wind. No, this is no corpse. This is just a puppet. And for all the efforts to lure the master out, we're once again tricked by a familiar. My debut, my first test out in the open, be postponed for another day. At that moment, I suddenly noticed something familiar in the corner of my eye. Okay. I stalled long enough. Hold on. Sorry. I know you might be a person, but... このチャットはちょっとごめん。さよなら. I'll get rid of them. I know it's one of those accounts again. Okay. I think the last person chatting was, let me think. They kind of give me bot vibes, or like one of their advertisers. I appreciate like new chatters, and I like to give them like the benefit of the doubt. But it was just like these. Well, I'm gonna leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. I went ahead and put cotton mist away. Something seemed strange about the slide on the other side of the park. It appeared as though there was a shadow that were larger than it should be. Was I drunk on the high of battle? It took me a second to realize what it was. Calling out was a mistake. Startled by my voice, the figure, wearing a familiar high school uniform, took a step back. Then it broke into a sprint, like someone running for their life. Or should I say he was doing exactly that? In a rush, I shouted to my partner, but she hadn't noticed the third party's presence in the first place. Though it wasn't as if I could move by myself. I couldn't move... Though it wasn't as if I could move by myself. Embarrassingly, the fight had taken a lot out of me more than I liked. There was no time for niceties. For us, being here was a matter of life and death. Shaking off the numbness in my legs, I made for the park's exit. I had to admire his escape. The witness, the party to the entire night's proceedings, had disappeared into the darkness of the residential district without a trace. Complaining to myself wouldn't bring back the figure in a uniform. Bitter of my own incompetence, I gave up the chase. Though temporary, the park had become Alice's woods. For anyone within a few feet of the park or other park goers, identifiable features and faces were murky, like the stuff of fairy tales. Tonight's proceedings may have had a witness, but if our identities were still hidden, then this was still a chance. I returned to the park. That uniform was without a doubt from my high school. That was clue enough. If he was a classmate of mine, I had plenty of methods to flush him out. Amidst my grumbling, I set my priorities straight. Before some strange rumors spread, I needed to seal the witness's mouth. That was the highest priority, quickly and without mercy. Looking up, I saw Alice's previously distant figure. Though she was in as much trouble as I was with her existence as a mage being exposed, she had but one thing to say. Her statue-like figure, staring into the darkness, seemed more expressionless than calm. I was pissed off. Her inscrutable voice reminded me of the moonless night so much it made me angry. I think I'm gonna change a few more settings again. We got an achievement. Wait, that's it? Blue's in her name. Guess I'll save, just in case, because it didn't save what we should have before. And then let's go ahead and go to the next episode. Blue's in her name. Chapter 4. I was gonna play this until I finish chapter. What the hell? Night 3. So we just did chapter 3, and then that was... I guess that was night 3. So are we chapter 4 now? I guess we continue. That was like hella short. I feel kind of nerdy reading some of the lines with like magic and stuff like that. I'm glad we've gotten back to like all the other stuff, you know? I'm also curious how like Nasu would describe magic in his series in the first place. But let's continue. Let's go ahead and continue. There really isn't any other way of saying this. I'm a magician. Kind of like those witches in fairy tales that live alone in the woods and perform miracles with a wave of a finger. While the popular depiction of it differs. Oh shoot. While the popular depiction of it differs from reality, it's closer to the truth than you'd know. Though, just so we're clear, no, I don't fly through the sky in a broom. I can't transform into animals or speak with small birds. Modern mages are nothing so fanciful. Oh, volume control, well done. Bring it up a peak. 20%. I think that's enough. Our existence sounds unbelievable, but we're quite grounded. Though it might seem we can do anything, we're actually majorly constricted. And while I still have a lot to learn about it, this is my real job. It sounds a lot more romantic than being a high school student, right? Naturally, this is a secret I don't share with anyone. A mage must do everything in their power to conceal their work. This is the first and most important. Yeah. That is the first and most important of the association's 10 laws. Not that I'm tempted to let the cat out of the bag in the least. My secret identity as an honor student is intact, and absolutely no good would come of me revealing my true nature. If anything, it would only lead to more headaches. That's why I do everything in my power to keep it a secret. Of course, if I'd accomplished anything as a magician by now, then maybe I'd see it differently. I fantasize about revealing my secret life's work to a single special person when I finally make something of myself. Yeah, it'd be pretty stellar to convince one day, by the way, I'm a magician. The idea alone is enough to keep me from spoiling the big reveal, regardless of the association's rules. My grandfather brought him in the head when he shared these thoughts with me. I don't know if that was praise or what, but I remember his touch was gentle. I first learned that I'd be succeeding my grandfather on the day I graduated middle school. When I returned home, there he was. Your elder sister left on a journey. From this day forth, you were the heir to the Aozaki. He said it in such a matter-of-fact way. I knew that the Aozaki family passed down this old tradition of magecraft, but to be honest, I never imagined I'd be the one to wield it. Magecraft is supposed to be passed down to a single child. It was my sister's role to take the mantle. I had no interest in dedicating myself to so many rules and routines. I planned to live a normal life. I had hopes and dreams for the future. I felt bad for my sister, but I was determined to live my life my way. And while I managed to do just that for a time, I was blindsided by a vicious counterpunch. Since then, I've been thrust headlong into a world I only observed from afar. It was a hell of a way to start high school, but I suppose it wasn't all bad, all things considered. A lot happened since then. I was so dazed by the newfound life that a year of school motored right by. I was the second year before I knew it. Thankfully, nothing drastic happened. The 6 months my roommate and I tried to kill each other. Wait, what? Thankfully, nothing drastic happened. The 6 months my roommate and I tried to kill each other notwithstanding. As it happened, I've got a natural talent at this magic stuff, so I've yet to have any hang-ups there either. I'm only human, so I've had a fair share of headaches for sure. I've never once did I worry about the future. Normal Nasuverse, or my tongue. Normal moment in Nasuverse. I didn't know you read Nasu. Well, I guess it makes sense if you're writing and stuff like that. I was thinking this could be like a... Oh, you got me stammering now. I didn't know you read Nasu. That's cool. That's super cool. I thought my life would be smooth sailing. I thought my life would be smooth sailing. Wait, wait me. I thought my life would be smooth sailing all the way. When you play FGO, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you play FGO. You play FGO and follow the Fate series. I I used to play FGO, but one of the original phone account that, or my original phone that had FGO on it, and my original account, I was playing FGO and it fried my phone, so I stopped playing it. And then I never wanted to play it from scratch again. And whenever I tried to do account recovery, I couldn't do it. It'd say like, what servants do you have? Like, what's in your setup? And I couldn't remember which servants. All I knew is that I had not Vlad the Impaler, and I had a few other people on my account that were 5 stars. I think it's 5 stars instead of FGO, not 6 stars. And yeah, 5 stars. And I missed out on quite a bit. I also had Oda Nobunaga, and I also had, what was it? I think I had Musashi as well. FGO really is a real gambling game. Other out of all the gachas, I think FGO is like the cruelest when it comes to pulling. 100%. It's pretty bad. Hold on. I have to reset every now and then because my chat starts lagging. Not my chat, my microphone. If only everything had gone to plan last night. Alice Konji, as Alko Azaki the second she entered the house. Her dark eyes succeeded where her voice failed to communicate the gravity of the situation. Pity is 330 pulls, yes. Yeah, screw that game, I'm not playing. I'm not playing from scratch. Screw FGO. FGO's pretty cruel, in my opinion. Alko took off her unflattering coat, hung it on a hanger, and sat down on a sofa. Alice sat across from her, with a table separating them.
そっちはよくないわね。偵察に行けるのは7個くらい。ここのところ使ってばかりで作り置きをする余裕もなかったし。
Alice's gaze drifted from Alko to the box on the table.
あの夜、町を監視していた奴はいないの？町の偵察は完璧なんでしょ？そいつら。それは昼間の話よ。夜間飛行は危険が多いわ。
Meaning they were of least use when needed the most. Alko sighed.
そういうあなたは朝は随分と強気だったけど。ん？ああ、こっちは予定通りよ。明日までには絞り込めると思う。今朝、飛び丸にうちの生徒の自宅と行動時間を調べさせたから。あの時間に公園をうろつくやつはめったにいないし、簡単に割り出せる。そう簡単に行くの？行くわよ。伊達に生徒会に勤めてないわ。その程度のデータは揃えてある。月1のバイト先はおろか、親しい友人宅との移動時間、その優先順位まで調べ上げてるんだから。
I'm kind of curious. Is in grade school, or I guess high school, is student council like a big thing over there? I barely remember even. In my high school, student council wasn't really like a big thing. They kind of pretend to be like, run an organization, like do a little bit of politics. But they wouldn't do many events apart from like sell pizza, bake sales, stuff like that. They'd organize really small things, but they didn't really have any effect on like how schools run, and they didn't manage people.
人には見せたくなかったリストだけど、そんな余裕ないでしょ？だから、そういうのが向いてる副会長にやらせたの。
Incidentally, the creation of the secret file started the moment Alko became the student council president. So the same over there? Yeah, it's just like you get elected, you're in that position, and like your responsibilities are kind of like imaginary. But I noticed that in Japan, they grab them and like the student council president kind of manages other students, and they can tell them what to do, or like make activities, or organize student like festivals and stuff like that. I think it's kind of badass, a little bit, but it's kind of also kind of like I I think the word would be nanamiya, like it's nostalgia for something you've never experienced. Natsukashi. The mere rumor of its existence was enough to strike fear into the entire student council body.
そう。徹底しているわね。相変わらず。
Alice was only mildly surprised. It's been almost 2 years since we first started living together. She knew well as anyone that when Alko put her mind to something, she saw it through to the end.
ま、私もあれがこんな風に役立つとは思ってもみなかったけど。
But what happened last night was far beyond a mere exception to the rule. This predicament should not have been even possible.
それより、原因は分かったの？結界の結びに不手際があったなんてのは聞かないわよ。
Uncle glared at her. The ward was Alice's responsibility. If it was to blame for last night's trouble, Alice had her own up to her own fair share. Alice and Alco might have been roommates and partners, but it was a relationship of convenience. While lineage had brought them together, they're more like enemies than allies. Ultimately, they're just not a match. Where there was a blunder, it was punished. Where there was an opening, it would be attacked. If there was even an opportunity, the two would kill each other in the event of such a moment. Alice locked eyes with Alco. Alco's fierce gaze could make a grown man cower in fear, but Alice didn't even bat an eyelash. Do you want that kind of relationship with someone? Like a hate friendship or something like that? What was it? I guess like frenemies. I've heard of people who have like frenemies like this. I think I almost had a frenemy at some point, but I've never really quite had one. Not really. I suppose you're right, Alko agreed, as the question reaffirmed her trust in Alice.
結界のあり方は完璧だったのね。絶対とまでは断言はできないけど。
Alice answered as flatly as ever. A bounded field is like a sanctuary sealed from the real world. Steps are taken whereby a certain area is cut off from the outside world. So it's kind of like you inside your house. There are various kinds of bounded fields. There are physical ones that are close off an area behind a wall, and the less tangible ones that use mirrors, mist, or trees to conceal what occurs inside. However, when closing off an area from the outside world, you can't avoid communicating with the abnormality's existence. In other words, the area may be closed off from the outside world, but it's impossible to hide the fact that it's closed off. In time, someone will take interest in the sealed off area, even if they cannot see what's going on inside. Some might say this is putting the cart before the horse. The ideal field would be one that both is undetectable and impervious to the interference of the outside. That's exactly the kind Alice generated in the park the night before.
その場所に用があっても、今はないように思わせれば、誰もそこには立ち入らない。隠したい場所の周りに、一時的な意識の改ざんを促す結界を張る。手間はかかるんだけど、1時間程度の人よけには信頼性は高い結界よね。
Wait, hold on. Oh,
アリス
let's
の
see.
鏡を使った一級品だし、途中で破れることもない。事実、入ってきたのはあの人形だけだとはっきり感じられた。これで完璧じゃなかったら何が完璧なのよ。 私もわからない。森作りに落ち度はなかったわ。森は数日かけて栽培したものだし、今まで通り信頼できる結果よ。
Though Alice's words conceded the possibility, her eyes expressed her confidence that she had overlooked nothing.
まいった。こうなると、一番いいのは、あいつが人形使いだってパターンね。それならかろうじて納得できる。
So I think I know who saw everything, right? It's probably our guy, Sojiro. Sojiro saw something weird the other night. So maybe Sojiro, because he's already been exposed to magic before, can see this now. No, this is pretty simple for Faith. Legendary servants, seals, contracts, bloodline abilities, mystic eyes. That's just kind of Nasu. But I still feel kind of iffy about this particular translation. Compared to... Well, I'm gonna comment on that when I'm done with the series. The thought of being targeted by this individual sounded pretty terrifying. If they were able to penetrate Alice's field, it could only mean that their skill in magecraft was superior to Alice's. Alice in her current state would be completely helpless against such a foe. What are these Dragon Balls? What are these? I think they're just confections. It's already been determined that it's not a mage. This is certain. Oh. Whoops.
魔力の気配は全くなし。誰かの魔術で操られている犠牲者というのもないわね。
They're chocolates. They're chocolates. I just thought the little designs in the chocolates are very, very Toriyama for some reason. My brain's weird. It's also like super early. I'm kind of. I did this on the spur of the moment because I know I'm gonna be busy in like an hour, so I wanted to just do this and knock this out. I'm not even sure if I can actually finish this chapter for now, but we'll see. We still have an hour left, so hopefully I get everything done in time. Sofa groaned and she leaned back. Her gaze went up to the brown ceiling with a sigh. It wasn't much of a view. She was becoming increasingly depressed. Her roommate's voice seemed indifferent, but Aoko kept staring at the wooden ceiling. The cool-mannered girl's statement carried an equally icy implication. Aoko took the words in slowly, with as much sincerity as she could muster. It was like trying to swallow molten lead. The thought sounded hollow even if it popped in her head. This is certainly different from last time. While the aim was indeed the same, the circumstances surrounding her target were clearly different. She may have been determined before, but she was a mage. If enemies emerged, she would kill them. If she was challenged, she'd step up to the fight. It was a fight between two mages, and her opponent was in the wrong. Even if it could only end in death for one of them, it was an outcome both parties could accept. Kill or be killed. Morality had no weight on the scale. But this time was different. Her opponent was neither an enemy nor mage. Even if she prepared to kill them, this person was likely not ready to die. That's why morality did factor into it now. Was she truly up to the task of murdering an innocent person? Could she swallow the fact that this could be a common occurrence for a mage? She snorted sardonically. Being a mage didn't mean Aoko was some sort of monk who could cut ties to the real world on a whim. If there was one thing Alco hated, it was doing things without conviction, or an understanding of exactly why she was doing them. Woof. When she acted, she preferred to act decisively.
うん。ま、やるしかないだろうね。
As she said it, she got up from the sofa, having had her fill of the ceiling for one day. Alco returned to the alcove of always, and Alice was done probing her.
じゃあ、これ。
As if to reward her, Alice produced a small bottle. It fit neatly on... Huh? It fit neatly in the palm of her hand. The bottle looked completely out of place in her slender fingers. The glass was cloudy and it appeared empty. Some shreds of paper remained on the front, where once was a label.
何よそれ。
Alco stared at the bottle suspiciously.
収納の小瓶。ちょうど一つ余ってたから、あげるわ。
What does she mean by this? Why is she doing this?
はい？名前は忘れたけど、中国の小説に出てきたのと同じよ。
Alco was miraculously able to parse what Alice meant.
それって、レンゲ堂の兄弟の話？じゃあ、あの赤いひょうたんと同じなわけ？言いたくないけど、そこら辺の風邪薬のラベルを無理やり剥がして小瓶に見せかけてるそれが？
Hold on just a second on a side note. I'm just taking a quick peek at something, because we were talking about FGO. I was actually looking at FGO art a little bit earlier. I'm really interested in one of the servants that released. I don't know if it's released globally yet. I don't even know if you played the global version of FGO in the first place. But there's a servant called, what's her name? Shoot. Her name's not Shoot. I think her storyline name is Tokiko? Tokiko. She's Tokiko for a little bit, but she has like a real name. Her epithet is Archer of the Apocalypse. I want to talk a little bit more about it. I don't know if you're fully caught up with the story and like at the latest chapter and you've already completed everything too. And you're just kind of grinding casually. I'm gonna double check if she's out yet or not. Hold on. The Archer in chat. Wait. お前は誰? Is she already out? She's only available during special summon campaigns. When such campaigns are not active, servant cannot be summoned. I guess I'll just say her name. I'll type her name in chat too, because it's weird. Been looking at this servant right here. Herder? She's, I stumbled onto her randomly. I thought she looked kind of crazy. Alice looked at the bottle to acknowledge how ordinary it looked. She also understood that she would not be the only one using it as she set it on the table.
赤いひょうたんじゃなくて、陽子玉の上瓶の方。そういう問題じゃない。私は魔術師としての雰囲気を論じてるんだ。些細なことを気にするのね。せいろがんの瓶じゃないだけいいと思うけど。
Why would it be a bottle of laxatives? She made a good point.
蓋を開けて相手の名前を尋ねればいいから。ただし、相手に抵抗する意志が残っている場合、小瓶は割れるから気をつけて。ちょっと待った。抵抗する意志があるとダメって、眠っている時にやれってこと？それは試したことがなかったわ。眠っているのに返事をする人っているの？たまにいるけど。まあ確かに珍しいわね、そういう人。
In that case, what would have to be weakened? What would have to weaken them until they were about to pass out?
ああ、そうそう。薬や魔術がかかっていると、その重さでも割れるから気をつけて。使えない。それってほとんど役立たずってことじゃない。それは青子次第ね。
Alice turned away as she replied, as if the topic no longer mattered to her.
はあ、アリスがこういう小道具好きなのは知ってたけどね。これも趣味なわけ？
Uncle asked, hoping Alice would deny it.
多分。それでどうするの？持っていくのか行かないのか。
Without answering, Akko did it a bit before taking the bottle and putting it in her pocket. She figured she might be able to find some use for it. She just released in Japan 2 months ago. So then she's not... If she's released in Japan 2 months ago, then I don't think she's in global version just yet. Well, let's see. She's scheduled to release in North America in June 2028. I probably should have looked that up. Her everything looks kind of badass. I've been paying attention because I know I said I'd placed Shiki when like what's that? Oh no. I'd play FGO if Shiki came out. Toho Shiki from the Tsukihime series because I really like Shiki. So if he popped up, I'd try to pull for him and try to get him. Arquaid already came to FGO, but I don't really care about Arquaid all that much in terms of having her as a servant, because I already like her enough in the original story to not need it. But Shiki's the person you play as in the original game, so I have a deeper connection, more feelings for Shiki himself. 2 hours passed and the clock struck 9. The conversation had moved from the drawing room to the sunroom. It had manifested into a kind of scene that one would not expect in such a mansion. Oh.
まあ本当はね、飛び丸に任せる気はなかったんだけど。
A hot earthenware pot sat on a table. Akko spat out complaints to no one in particular as she plucked food from it with her chopsticks. Tonight they were eating a traditional Japanese meal that looked like had a place in his mansion. Oishisono. Looks pretty delicious. There's not enough meat in there for me though. I always have a bit of meat in most of my meals. Or at the very least, if I don't eat a bit of meat, when I eat something, I feel kinda empty. There's some people eat stuff like eggs or tamago every single day. And I don't think I'd stay sane doing that. But that's me. Alice sat across from Akko as she silently poked at the bowl with a fork. Pot.
山城のやつが来るなり、しずきくんはまだ部活に入っていないから面倒見てあげてくれないかななんて言ってくるもんだからさ。全校生徒の行動範囲なんて見直す気力なくなっちゃったのよ。
I hear that's actually a very healthy perspective, having a bit of protein. That's why people over here end up so tall. We have a very burgeoning diet. But then it's also why people over here end up so heavy. So it's kinda, give and take. The egg that she plucked was still silky as a baby's bottom. So she returned it to the pot. She settled for shiitake noodles instead.
そりゃあのバカがバイトで忙しいのは知ってるわよ。だからできるだけ春先までのんびりしてて、あんなのでも親身になってくれそうな部の部長に当たってみたのに。ありがとうの一つもないってのはちょっと尺に触るわよね。ねえ、聞いてるアリス。
As if to mouth she was full, she simply nodded in response. Her expression stated that she had no interest nor opinion on the matter, But at least she appeared to be listening. Yeah. I keep stammering a little bit because I usually have like I've probably mentioned before that I monitor my own voice when I'm playing. For some reason, there's like a weird delay that's been happening. So I've been trying to figure out what's eating all my resources. I think it should be fine now. It might just be in my head. It could be in my head. I hope it is. Wait. Wait, you. Stop pausing. Stop delaying. Satisfied, Alco nibbled on what some happened fish cake.
それに私、いい人なんて言われるやつは信用できないのよ。あろうことか、飛び丸までそんなこと口走る始末だし。あれはいい人なんじゃなくて、ただぼんやりしてるだけなんだっての。だいたいあそこまで言われて怒りもしないなんてどうかしてるわ。
Her thoughts went to what happened in the student council room earlier that day. Excuse me. She remembered how non-responsive Sojiro had been to her words. His unconcerned face alone was enough for her to swallow the rest of what her happened without chewing it.
何が分かってるんだなよ。
His words were a lot like those that ended her childhood.
青子ちゃんは分かっているんだね。それでも自分であり続けられるということはとても強いことなんだよ。
Perhaps it was meant as a compliment, but she took it as a patronizing way to pity her. Because the person who said it acted like she was looking at a Wait. Okay, I'm gonna try to fix myself up and lock in. Could be fatigue too. It might be just me being sleepy. I kind of just like curl up in a bed and take it easy, TBH. Because the person who said it had acted like she was looking at a wounded animal.
あんな変態の言ってたことなんて今更どうでもいいけどさ。
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad it sounds cute. I'm glad it sounds like me. I'm glad. That episode might have made her the most confused she'd ever been in her life. Yet what shocked young Alco the most was the look of pity on the face of the person who she admired the most.
喧嘩。
You fought. Wait. I'm gonna try something. Huh? The abrupt comment stopped her in her tracks.
ごめん、聞いてなかった。喧嘩ってあの喧嘩？
Alice nodded.
あなたの感想だけじゃ状況はよくつかめないけど。つまり、青子はその人に喧嘩を売りたかったのね。
Alice bit into the very last happen. Remark was unexpected, but completely on point.
なんでそうなるのよ。私はあんなのと1秒だって関わりたくないだけだってば。だいたいそれどころじゃないし、興味とか全くないし、会話もこれ以上ないってぐらい簡潔に切り上げたし。
なら、どうして今そんな話をするの？
それはあんたに今日の調査過程を知らせてあげたのよ。それ以外何があるっていうの？
Now, kind of looking at it, it's kind of a tiny bowl to be eating from. Alco's a tsundere. Alco's a everything dairy, honestly. No, she's kind of a tsundere. She's very weird about the people she interacts with. Like, she has like a weird relationship with like the people in her class, like the people around, the vice president of the student council, stuff like that. She's very... The novel described it pretty well earlier. I don't have a word for it. Tsundere is just like a part, like a tiny part of the description of like how Alco is. Truly. Freaking Alco. What other reason could Alice be suggesting Alco had to bring it up? It would be several hours later in bed that Alco realized she had dug her own grave.
いいけど、私は別に。ただ、 青子は本当にその人が嫌いなの？
ちょっと待って。I'm gonna do myself a favor as well. I've been having an issue recently. That's a new problem. Maybe I'll talk about it? No, I don't want to talk about it. Wait. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Well, no, I don't think I'm gonna talk about it. Not this time. It's kinda slightly embarrassing. Thank you very much. Alice ate her hot pot in silence, as if she was honoring some sort of sacred ritual. Her face was as indifferent as always, but she was secretly enjoying how flustered Aoko was. Indifferent. She doesn't look indifferent. She's kind of smiling in there a little bit. The way how like her eyes are like half closed like that is a kind of how do I describe her face here? It's she looks kind of bleh. I lost it. I lost the description. Her eyes look kind of scary for some reason, a little bit, but it's also cute at the same time. Is that weird? Wait. Always embarrass myself though. Dignity is kind of a commodity here, huh? Not that. It's just weird to describe. I'm not gonna describe it. Not here. I mean, I could. Aoko remained oblivious to this. Normally, she would have noticed immediately, but she was not quite herself at this moment.
本当にって、そりゃそうよ。気に食わないって何度も言ってるじゃない。
そう。具体的には？
は？具体的にはって、そんなのに理由なんて。
She trailed off as she finally realized how disagreeable she was being. She could come up with no reason why. Oh, hey, Henry. Good morning. I guess it's, is it later or earlier for you? No, it's later a little bit. So it should be sometime in the evening, maybe. Let me check something, actually. Hold on. This is just me reading today, like, it's a visual novel day. It is. So if you're right there, hold on, I'm doing some mental math. It's gonna be a little earlier than I'm used to. Okay, yeah. It should be earlier. Evening? Is it? But it's not 6 o'clock just yet. Or is it? Her instincts told her that she was incompatible with that look. Or that hick. But why have such a strong reaction? More than anything in the world, Aoko hated emotions without reason, and decisions made with no rationale.
嫌いなものは嫌いなんだから、ちゃんとどっかに理由があるんだと思うけど。
And you can probably guess, Xena's from Indonesia. She became more flustered the more she talked. Unfortunately for her, she couldn't come up with a coherent reason to why she hated Sojiro Shizuki. It was not his fault he had zero common sense. It was the fault of the environment he grew up in. In fact, it was admirable he was trying so hard to adapt to the civilized society. As clueless as he may seem, he was not a total waste of space. If he seemed to be a bit slow, it's only because his gentle nature compelled him to think before acting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to spoil your illustrious background that was so speculated and hyped within our chat. Forgive me. I won't do something so discourteous again. When one looked at everything objectively, the conclusion was obvious. As much as she loathed to admit it, he really was unassuming do-gooder everyone had him pegged as.
ちょっと本気かっての。人間的に悪いけど本当にみじんもないのかあれ。
That was plenty, so she left it at that for now. I won't tease you too much. I still like having you around for now. The chopsticks she'd been using came to a stop. She was getting very annoyed. An irrational hatred burned through her head. Unable to come to terms with her feelings, she desperately tried to analyze Sojiro. Or is it Sojiro? But her mind only went in more circles. Alice fixed Aoko with a deadpan stare.
呆れた。
A small sigh.
らしくないわね、青子。
I didn't know Alice could wear cute stuff like this. Like, it's actually normal person clothes. Oh, hey, Emma. It's, I woke up early and I started reading. I'm just having like a nerdy... I'm giving it 30 more minutes to finish this chapter. And if I can't do it, okay. Que será. Anyway, buenos dias. It's kind of evening for them though. Sort of. Buenas tardes. 今は朝じゃないよ。いや、朝です。I know in Japanese it's 朝 and then 夜. I don't know if there's a word for afternoon. 朝、夜、昼。あ、昼。ごめん。今は昼。でも、確かに、it's almost evening. Uncle felt the floor fall flat under her. She was unable to leave her chair for long after Alice had finished eating and left. Why burn the forest? You sound like Joan right now. However, even after getting knocked down, Ako Ozaki was not one to be kept that way. She made short work of cleaning up after dinner, and after conceding the first bath of the night to Alice, left the drawing room. Since it's customary in these sorts of mansions to turn off the lights when leaving an empty room, the only lit areas of the house were the drawing room and the two girls' bedrooms. The upstairs was enveloped in darkness. Ako briskly made her way to the deepest part of the east wing along the long corridor, illuminated only by the light of the moon, and arrived at her room.
結論として、やっぱり騙し討ちは気に食わない。
She'd be considering this all the way down the corridor, or perhaps ever since she left the drawing room. The moment she entered the room, she drew her proverbial line in the sand.
やるにしても隠れるのはなし。正面から堂々と向かい合って理由を言う。
This was not a concession driven by feelings of sympathy or compassion. For her, this was simply the way things ought to be.
よし、そうと決まれば。
I've been hearing for a lot of politics over there, it's been kind of messy. I made a few Indonesian friends on a few of the apps I've been on.
緑の背拍子と。
And all they have to say is that everything's kind of going south over there right now, or it's not going so great, and it's very depressing. They had a lot to say. When we were talking about it, everyone got really sad. I think originally we were just practicing Japanese, but I was just like, "Oh, I'm from America," and then it turned into a thing. Wait. How you doing? Not doing too well. You laughed too much last night and your body's tired. I would think laughing a lot would be a good thing. I'm sorry you're not doing too well. I think you gotta be more active. You gotta put in more training so your body can handle it, you know, laughing and stuff like that, and having fun. The introductory textbooks transported here from the Awazaki residence were separated into 6 shelves labeled Monday to Saturday. Ako had organized the books by topic, genre, and purpose, and more or less memorized everything that was in her personal library. Referencing any of this material took her no time at all. It was to be expected of the keeper of the study, though this keeper's fiefdom was nothing more than a small room. Both Alco and Alice had given up all hope on the cluttered mess of a library in the annex. Nevertheless, on occasion, Alco had had no choice other than to give Alice a heads up and visit it when the study did not meet her needs.
できればそれは避けたいところだけど、と。
Alco placed a thick green book down and took a seat. The desk she sat at was sturdy but uninviting. It wasn't the sort of furniture girls her age grew attached to, but she liked the minimalist elegance nonetheless. She flipped through the book's old, worn pages.
アリスみたいな結界は私にはまだ無理だ。人払いはその場所自体に頼らないといけないか。
The mountains, the woods, the school building, empty at night. She was looking for a place that would be, except for the worst luck, avoided people, allowed her to forego the use of magecraft.
茨の壁だの魔力の霧だの、そういう回りくどいのもなんだしな。退路を断つっていうなら、もっとこう見た目にも状況的にも派手な方が効果的だし。
What is relaxing time? I'm pretty convinced you don't sleep, Xena. From what I've seen, I don't think you sleep much, if at all. Muttering about how there had to be some basic spell to fit her needs, she continued to flip through the pages. It goes without saying that she was looking for a way to deal with the witness from the previous night. Witchcraft's uses were many, but not all-encompassing. Fundamentally, magecraft was good for making things or phenomena that existed already, while more or less bypassing time and resources conventional means would require. He was, however, unable to manifest phenomena that were impossible in this world. It was essentially an equivalent exchange that used a variety of shortcuts, a phenomenon that made possible by human hands, actualized by individuals' power. Oh, jeez. That was generally what magecraft was. To give a simple example, if Alco was so inclined, she could make an entire lake appear at the mansion. However, it had to be something that existed within this world. Nothing, not even the smallest matter, could escape this unbreakable law. Even if Alco was to release a level of heat on par of an F-15 fighter jet afterburner, that event would only be possible if the circuit named Alco Awazaki acted as a temporary input variable inside of a magical formula. The derived equivalence was simply a value that could already occurred in reality. If the variable in the equation did not exist somewhere in reality, the spiel, holy cow, holy shit, fuck. Wait. If the variable in the equation did not exist somewhere in reality, the spell would not be valid. The imaginary element known as magical energy was like a lie that could slip its fantasy through a network of order at any moment of ignition. Given form, the non-existent illusions as invading reality was something the universe did not allow.
とは言っても、エーテルは基本何にでもできるんで、大元が嘘なんだっけ。魔力だけで構成されたものは幻想扱いされて急速に消えていくとか。
It'd probably be better if I was wearing like my contacts, honestly.
茨の壁とかは、もともと茨を生やしておいて、魔力で一気に成長、強化してるものだし。
My glasses have been kind of driving me crazy recently because my Glasses keep slipping off my face, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. But anyway,
魔力っていうのは結局使い勝手のいいガソリン兼事象に火をつける火花ってわけで。なんて言いつつ架空要素云々より基本的な回路の接続と魔力を加工して弾くことぐらいしかできないのよね。
Laughing to herself, she looked for a bounded field or something similar more suited for her current ability. The identity of the witness is still unknown, but if there was a classmate of Alcos, she had a number of pretexts by which she can lure them out. The problem was after that.
そうなると問題は命中率よね。一撃で決めないと逃げられちゃうだろうし。
To be honest, she wasn't confident she could handle this smoothly without Alice's support. But Alco saw no reason to ask for help given that the target in question was a regular bystander. Fledgling as she was, she still had her pride as a mage. She continued to turn to the pages rhythmically. In the midst of the fluttering sound of thumbing through the volume, Alco suddenly stopped her fingers on a certain page.
見つけた。
She smiled to herself. It was a simple formula that she tucked away somewhere in the recesses of her memory, a spell of simple destruction.
檻をね、作ればいいのよ。狩りをする時の常套手段じゃない。獲物を逃げられないようにするのは。
Suddenly, she felt someone watching her. I feel like those are questions that pop up from both your countries, honestly. Considering how the population's kind of mixed a little bit. I get it. For us, that's a weird question. What do you mean by that? Wait. Through the window, she saw in the night a girl staring back at her with a cold-hearted expression. The girl's face was hers. The expression is undoubtedly her own. She began planning how to erase the witness. Though, to state it was something as elaborate as a plan was overkill. This was just a job. She was going to make a cage and lure the prey inside of it. There was no getting around it. Premeditated violence.
さ、そろそろアリスは上がったかな。
She mumbled out loud as if the bath had returned some warmth to her chilled heart. About 20 minutes passed since she gave Alice the privilege of using the hot water first. Alice tended to bathe quickly, finishing well under 10 minutes. Her roommate was the type who could not understand the spirit of the bath, treating it as nothing more than a necessity for looking after one's body. For Alice, the concept of staying at a hot spring inn sounded more like a chore than anything, though in this regard Alco had to agree.
よし、浴場はカラッと。あれ、今に電気ついてる。
It was unusual for Alice to sit in the morning drawing room after her bath. On nights when she had nothing to discuss, it was her style to return directly to her bedroom. Hold on. Was this Sudan? I'll leave it alone for now. Hold on.
アリス、いるの？ そういうこと。私も信用ないな、ほんと。
They mean in terms of like the, so it's kind of like that's like this in my home country as well. They have different groups like the Malay, the Javanese, the Sudanese, the Budaranese, stuff like that. Balinese, Asinese, Batak, Minangkabau, some stuff like that. They have so many different ethnic groups. It's kind of normal to say like, I don't want to leave my home country. Well, yeah. Akko scratched her head in exasperation. Was it that Alice was worried about her, and she had no faith in her? Her expression was so calm, Alco could hardly figure that she was thinking.
方針なら決まったけど、聞く？
その顔を見れば聞かなくてもわかるわ。迷いがなくなったのはいいことだけど、悪い癖ね、青子。
Vietnamese, Java, Sudanese. Yeah, the other day you were speaking Sudanese, I think. But I was kind of surprised it wasn't just like Indonesian. You're specifically Sudanese, so like I was just like kind of surprised a little bit. Alice let out a small sigh. It was unusual for Alice to make such a display of disappointment.
ええ、騙し討ちは趣味じゃないから。殺すにしても正々堂々、正面から理由を言った後にする。それならすっぱり後腐れもないし、文句ある？
文句はないわ。そういうの、好きか嫌いかはこの際関係ないでしょうし。
That's my first time hearing that word. Monka. Is that a complaint? Monka. Kujo. Should be Kujo, but Monka. Monka. Oh, monku. So the word is monku, and she said monka instead. Monka aru. わかりました。
けど。
けど。
確実性はどうかってことでしょ？私、いまいち命中率悪いし、その辺の問題は場所選びでフォローしようかなと。私はアリスのようにはいかないから、物理的に逃げられない場所にしようと思うんだけど、何かアイディアない？
Alice nodded in thought. The finger that gently rested on her lips indicated that the question was to her liking.
鏡はどう？鏡の国なら永遠に閉じ込めていられるけど。
あんた、そういうところ常識ないわよね。
I don't know, I kinda agree with your vibe with Xena's statement right there. Putting it nicely. Actually, that's putting it lightly. It was the kind of idea her roommate found to be inspired, but Alco knew it was out of the question. Alco's looking for a natural bounded field she could prepare, not a realm bordering on true magic she couldn't create to begin with.
なら他を当たるのね。でも、ここを使うのだけはやめてちょうだい。
言われなくても分かってるって。けど、そうね。ミラーハウスはいいアイディアかも。サンキュー、アリス。全体の流れは出来上がったわ。ほんと、こういうのってダメ元でも相談してみるものよね。
No, the color you said. Very beautiful. Not in a good mood, Alco retreated from the drawing room. Alice tried and failed to visualize what kind of blueprint Alco had drawn in her mind, But whatever it was, it appeared to be thorough. The thorough kind Aoko was good at. Aoko headed for the bathroom, humming to herself as she went. A year and a half of sharing a living space taught Alice something. When Aoko Awazaki was in this good of a mood, only deep trouble could follow.
青子一人に任せていいのかですって。
It was unclear how long the bird has been in the drawing room. Tripping at Alice, the robin-like bird pranced around the furniture as if it were its property.
そうね。彼女が一人でやると言ったのだから、任せるのが正しい信頼関係なんでしょうけど。
The girl in black raised her arm. The bird tripped once again, alighted at her outstretched, affectionate finger.
嫌な話だけど、信頼と信用はまた違う話よね。
The bird puffed out its stout chest in agreement, and Aoko was none the wiser to her roommate's rather unsettling comments. Is the chapter over? Did I make it? No, I jinxed it. We're still in chapter 4 for now. No, there's so much to that chapter left. The following day was a typical overcast one. The day's classes ended as they started, uneventfully. Winter break was just around the corner, and with it, final exams. Although Misaki High prided itself on discipline, it was still a private school that promoted a culture of independence amongst the students. Industrial students have a place to explore that side of themselves under the guardianship of the student council president. More easygoing students could spend their time after school as they wished, as long as they were mindful of the personal responsibility. The fact that the poster boy of independence was the school student council president indicated how vast the spectrum was. Tomaru. I hate how these have been localized. It's a big pain in the butt. Tobimaru Tsukuchi opened the door to the satellite student council room, the rumored location for their secret meetings. Despite all the appearances, it was the student council vice president, who happened to be the poor soul responsible for executing the student council's dirty work. One person was waiting for him in this cramped room. The student council president, Aoko Azaki, sat imperiously in a folding chair, glaring at Tobimaru in his boisterous entrance. So as to not to succumb to Aoko's oppressive silence, Tobimaru opened with his usual casual small talk. Tobimaru opened with some casual small talk.
お疲れ様。ところであんた、何しに来たのか分かってる？
まあな。ただ、事務的に話すのって寒いじゃねえか。少しぐらい世間話でもしねえとつまらねえだろ。
Tobimaru closed the door and sat across from Aoko. He was holding a blue envelope.
こういう時は無駄口は叩かない方がいいわよ。なんとなくプロっぽいでしょ。
なる。いや。
Tobimaru was halfway to agreeing with Aoko before he caught himself and began to shake his head. As much as Tobimaru enjoyed the lack of red tape in his new line of work, he wasn't ready to turn full spy on his first day on the job.
それで、調べ終わったの？
ああ、ついさっき最後の聴取を済ませてきた。詳しいことはその封筒に入ってる。お前から渡された例のファイルもその中。
I'm about to reach my time limit over here. I just wanted to stream until 7 minutes from now, but this chapter is not over yet. どうしようかな? I'm thinking I'll upload this and make it part 1 and then I'll do a part 2. That'll probably be good. I'll knock out the rest of this chapter tomorrow morning. Yeah, that should probably work. He tossed the envelope onto the table.
そう
Akko picked it up and began to scan the documents that were inside. She entered her own little world, not sparing a bit of attention for Tobimaru. If ignoring other people was a skill, she was a master at it.
なあ、
何
一つ聞きたいんだけどよ。
だから何
The room was filled with a chilling silence. Akko continued reading without an ounce of emotion on her face. Though Tobimaru kept up an air of indifference, his stare remained fixed intently on her.
青崎、そういうの作って楽しい？
楽しいわけないでしょ。こんなの作ったところであんまり使う機会なんてないんだから。
そうか。ならいい。
Whether or not he was convinced, Tobimaru stood up from his chair with a disappointed expression.
最後まで読めばわかるだろうが、あんまり確証は取れなかったぜ。というより、おとといあの辺りにいた生徒はいないって話になりそうだ。まあ断定はできないけどな。
No longer concerned over the task, Tobimaru headed towards the door, as if to say it was out of his hands.
そうだ。そういえば、一人だけ該当しなかったやつがいる。季節外れの転入生までは、青崎も調べきれなかったみてえじゃねえか。
Akko raised her head ever so slightly. He was right. The recent transfer student was not included within the scope of her investigations.
そんなわけで、その字に関しては調べてないぜ。まあ、あいつならいつだろうと遅くまでバイトだろうが。いや、人殺しを見たなんてこと口走ってるようじゃ、家で悪い夢でも見てたのかもしれねえか。
Well, Outlast Trials was one of the games that we played together with, I think, Anthony, him, and myself. We played it a little bit. And Henry was there too. Outlast Trials was where we met Henry and got connected with him and such. Simultaneously, Akko felt her fingers go numb, and the document she was holding spilled over the table.
そんなまさかね。
She broke out into a cold sweat and tried to tell herself that must be some sort of mistake. However, the uncomfortable feeling in her gut simply wouldn't go away. Perhaps because her intuition was almost always right at times like these.
バカらしい。
And yet she knew what she had to do. She would not hesitate to kill Tobimaru if he was a witness. What if it was who she was thinking of? Just considering the possibility made her blood run cold. Akko put her forehead into her hands and began to brood. And then suddenly, let us talk about choice. You'll always be faced with choices. A virtuous fool and a wicked sage. You cannot save both. You must pick one. That is a freedom granted to you. 2 years earlier, Akko muttered the words offered by her grandfather the day she replaced her elder sister as a successor, and let out a sigh of lament.
すごくバカみたい。
She laughed at her own intuition, but it was no joke. It was only those words that had never been said. Akko locked up the student council room and left for the day. Calmly, as though nothing untoward had happened, she greeted the students as they passed her in the halls. She was almost shocked by how natural she seemed. There was still plenty of students at the school. The grounds were noisy with the chattering of students who had finished the day and had yet to head home. Others still had club activities. The gray sky looked ready to pour, but no one seemed to pay attention to or pay any mind. Amidst the clamor, Aoko hastened to the school gate. He passed by some students in animated conversation. They seemed to be talking about the after-school plans. Apparently, they were adamant about maximizing their free time. She could not figure out how they could possibly be so irresponsible, focused on fun, and at the same time not in the mood to make fun of or feel envious of them. Huh? Wait, I read that wrong. Wait, 2 short years prior, she'd been just like them. She retied her scarf, and this time more tightly, to give off an air of solitude, but she was fooling no one. After all, what people who feign solitude are really masking is projection. Oh, there's my alarm going off in the background. Give me 1 sec, I'll be right back. I hope you guys can hear this. Whoa. Okay, guys. Wait. I sound like an old man. Kinda am a little bit, but I think I got some pep in my step, you know what I mean? I'm gonna place a bookmark real quick. Place. Save. And then we're gonna go ahead and head to the title. Okay. I think I'm gonna be done for now. For the time being, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up at Witch of the Holy Night. I just wanted to read for a bit. I want to read for a couple hours. I wish I started a little earlier. And I thought I'd be wrapped up for today. No, yeah. Hopefully everything goes well. A couple emails and a couple contacts that are reaching out to me in terms of the stuff I've been working on. So I've been kind of in a good mood a little bit. I'm kind of stalling on some of the details for this though. I'm not gonna get too into my personal stuff. Well, I have talked about me wanting to like go in and teach in China. I got a response from one of the companies and they want to schedule an interview. But apparently with their program, it's kind of weird. Like they have like an initial investment and stuff like that, apparently. But then for these programs, you should have like everything taken care of, like the flight and stuff like that. So it's a little bit confusing. Let me see. They sent a second email too. I think I might have ignored one of them. Hold on. Oh yeah. Full placement. So let's see. From what this program says, they take care of school placement. They create a route for independent teachers and set you up. They don't have like ongoing support, but they kind of help you in the process of like setting up housing and getting everything done essentially. But they just find you a program, and then I'm guessing the program takes care of like your travel expenses and stuff like that. But there's like a 95-pound deposit. What is that? And then, no, whatever. I'm not gonna get into it too much. I'm kind of curious. So I need to set up an interview with these people, and they're still trying to reach out to me. Yeah. I'm not gonna, but that's my personal stuff. I'm not gonna get too into it. I'm just thinking a lot and talking about my personal. All right, let's wrap up here. I'm gonna close this, close the game. I'm gonna exit, and atypical outro maybe. I feel like just doing like a different song, but no. Hold on a sec. Blah. Wait. Can I get away with this? I can do 2 channels. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna do some audio foo here and figure something out. I'm gonna do something. Wait. Wonder if I can do this. So then channel 1 is a stream, right? So then we're gonna go ahead and mute channel 1 real quick. And then we're going to, so that's not gonna be playing there. But channel 6 is the VOD. Hold on a sec. I'm just playing with stuff. I'm just gonna do something kind of funky a little bit. It's not too big of a deal or anything like that. It's just something I feel like doing. And then all we have to do is make sure that punishment doesn't get played on the VOD. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn off monitoring for Selma too. Okay, we got this. All right. Wait. Hold on. Okay, well, let's go ahead and head out. So yeah, I'll have to say once again, and let me make sure this is playing properly as well. So give me a second here. I just feel like playing this, so I'll head out. Alright, typical thing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thanks for you guys coming by, I appreciate you coming in. I'll probably be around the same time tomorrow, just to finish up this game and wrap up. I'm just gonna be light for a little bit, for a couple days. But I enjoyed you guys coming by. Thanks for hanging out in chat and keeping me company. You guys take care, and part 2 should be coming a little bit later. That's for the YouTube audience. I'm just gonna include this in the outro. But otherwise, nothing else to say. I'm gonna get something done. I'm probably just gonna make myself like a protein shake and call it a day, or call it a morning, and then figure out the rest from there. But yeah, that's it. It'll be fun. Take care.